50 years after its initial release, Roger Taylor and Brian May have remixed, remastered and extended their debut album to give fans a chance to hear those songs as they had always wanted them to sound. We've already heard about the challenges they had to overcome to achieve the first Queen album, and so in this special episode of Queen the Greatest, Brian May delves deeper into the story of the song that has been released as a single to mark this exciting new incarnation of Queen 1. The Night Comes Down.
The Night Comes Down, I think, evolved in my head, and it evolved in my own bedsit and the various flats of the people that I knew at the time in that sort of social environment that we were. And I would have this old acoustic guitar, which I still have, and I'd restrung it with wire strings. It was originally a gut guitar, and the bridge wasn't really high enough to make them vibrate cleanly. But I turned this into an advantage because I liked the buzzy sound it made. It made a sound a bit like a sitar. So I would put pins and needles and things in a certain way in the bridge, which I'd actually carved out myself and stuck on the top. I sort of bastardized this guitar. But it made this sound very much like a sitar, but I suppose a bit warmer. And I learned to play that way on an acoustic. Kind of playing lead on an acoustic, which wasn't in those days done very much. You know, it's a very cheap guitar, I guess, and it's not like a Martin or a Gibson or whatever, but it has its own sound, and it's very much a part of that, the first Queen album. It's all over it. So for The Night Comes Down, I'm sort of going, so I kind of fell in love with this sound. And the song was written around that, I suppose, because I had that guitar in my hand so much. And the song actually was being about those moments when you're not jolly, you know, those moments when you feel like you've lost it. And when I look back at it, I was very young to be writing that stuff, but I did get depressed in those days. It was always about relationships. I was never any good with relationships, and I had moments when I thought, I'm in a great place. I can make music, I'm with great friends, I'm at college doing stuff that I love doing, everything's great. And then somehow everything would fall apart, and it's like the night came down in my head. So that's what the song was about. It's not a jolly song. The funny thing is, it's also a bit of a sort of protest song in a way, because we were told in these little excursions we'd had into studios, you can't mix acoustic guitar with electric guitar. And we go, well, why? Well, because the electric guitar is too loud. I go, don't be ridiculous. You can make it as loud as you want in the mix, you know. But there was this sort of myth around, oh, it's not going to work. So I wanted to sort of prove to myself that you could make the acoustic guitar the front instrument, and the electric guitars could be actually behind. So the electric guitars, when they go, they're like a sort of string quartet behind the acoustic guitar, and they're not too loud because you have got the right volume in your mix. And of course, then I get Freddie. And Freddie, I'd sung the song to him, and Freddie, as always, would make it his own and take it to the next level. So there's no doubt he added an enormous amount to it. Suddenly I have Roger and John, and Roger in those days was quite busy. He would do a lot of fills, but it fits so perfectly with the way we're playing. I think he probably now would say, oh no, I was doing too much, but actually it was perfect for the time. And when we were in Delaney Studios, it was a beautiful drum sound. You can hear it very clearly now on the remixes. And he's doing everything that's tasteful for the song. He's not trying to be clever, it's just really nice. And John has picked up my riff, ding, 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 ding. He's very quick, is John. He's very adept. So he gives it his own kind of style, and it blends with the acoustic really nicely. And John and I are kind of playing locked in those riffs, and it's got this really gluey, kind of heavy sound. It was very different, and I was really pleased that it sounded so different from everything else that was out there.
When work began on the album at Trident Studios, the band found themselves re-recording the songs they had previously done at Delaney Studios for their demo reel. However, when it came to The Night Comes Down, Brian was determined not to go down that route.
I was dead set against trying to re-record The Night Comes Down because I was aware that it was a moment and it sounded exactly like I wanted it to sound. And I remember saying to Roy, I don't want to do this. Why would we try and recreate something which we think is exactly right the way it is? And Roy was very sympathetic. He said, like, I understand, you know, and maybe we'll just remix it. Roy Baker, bless him, put a lot of work into it, but his brief, as dictated by his bosses, was make it sound like it came out of Trident. So he was taking all the beautiful room sound off the track. And I remember sitting there with him thinking, I think what I was thinking was, at least the original isn't being destroyed here. At least this is an alternative. And maybe one day we can go back and look at the original, see if we've now done it.